So this particular presentation is about Fiji facility surveys. Who can tell me where Tupaia Health Center is in Fiji? Anyone in this room can tell me on a map? I'm good to see no hands. That's a very good thing. So literally, that's all my presentation today. So the agenda of this particular presentation is I'll give you a project overview, what's the aim, mechanism used, Tupaia Meditrak, tupaia.org, and what's the future plan for this particular surveys. Now, as you can see, this is the Tupaia team which was used back for the surveys. Now, project overview. You have been hearing about the Fiji National Supply Chain Reform a lot today, right? That is the project that is being digitizing all the health systems in Fiji currently. So this project started in 2020. The review was done in 2019. This is a project with Beyond Essential Systems and Ministry of Health working together to digitize the health systems. Now, a need for a system came above that we need to be able to see what all data is out there. Now, that's where the aim derived from. Now, when we talk about the aim, the first one was, of course, to digitize the map of entire health system. Now, when we talk about that, of course, if we are collecting data, we need to display it, right? Now, when we talk about displaying, that also means we're not just going to display it. Remember, like Michael said, we have to use this data somewhere. It has to be useful. Now, when we look into all that, this particular mechanism was used for Fiji facility surveys. Firstly, you survey all the health facilities, you get the baseline data in. Then you display it on tupaia.org. Once you're able to display all this data, you should be able to make decisions. Users should be able to make decisions. At the same time, management should be able to make management level decisions. Moving on, there should be plans in place of what are we going to use with all these data and information that was gathered. And then lastly, implementing all this out there. When we look into the first one, which is surveying the health facilities, how were the facility health surveys done? Tupaia was used. Tupaia is a project of Beyond Essential System. Tupaia Meditrak is a data collection app, which we use on our phones or tablets. Now, when we look into Tupaia Meditrak, it's a data collection app, which is free and open source. All the questions can be modified as needed, and you can put in whatever questions you need for the information that you would like to gather. Now, it works offline, and you can sync the data whenever internet is there, which is the greatest feature about Tupaia. Because right now, we have many applications, we can be looking into many data, but at the end of the day, we know that in Fiji, not everywhere, and not just Fiji, Pacific Island countries, all the users have experienced it in this room. You just can't go there, collect data, and be able to sync it, right? We have internet issues, and that's where this app is basically just great. You're able to do whatever you need to do, and you sync it when you have internet connection because the data is safely stored on the device. And at the same time, you can say it's a fun app to use, reason being, it's like a gaming awarding system. So once you do surveys, you are able to collect coconuts. Pacific Island countries, like it's all about coconuts. And then if you're able to collect 100 coconuts, you get a picnic. Now, when we talk about the different surveys, so in Fiji, we did 6 surveys. These 6 surveys were facility, the first one was, of course, facility fundamentals. In facility fundamentals, we had about 33 questions. And this survey, you just basically need to do it at least once a year or every 2 years, even it would do. The questions are basically about the core details of the facility name, and also the GPS location of that particular health facility. Moving on, we had basic health supply chain data. In that particular survey, you should be able to see the number of staff at the facility and the essential medicines availability. Moving on, we had the third survey was service availability and readiness. When we look into that survey, we had about 259 questions, depending how you answer the first question, then you will have further questions to answer. This was more into basic healthcare interventions, such as family planning, childcare services, and so forth. The fourth survey was about disaster preparedness. So basically in that, you just explain how prepared you are for disasters and what are some of the core procedures in place which is ready. And fifth would have been cold chain, of course. In cold chain, we looked into each health facility, including their fridge equipments, maintenance, and temperature monitoring. Now, lastly, we wanted to know what the staff thinks, and there was a certain number of questions put into place. This was done in conjunction with the Fiji facility survey. So basically, when we talk about this was in conjunction with Fiji program support facility. And this data was not publicly available. The first 5 surveys that we did, the data was publicly available if needed. But for the 6th one, no. It's a private data which only will be released to the actual needed management. And you can also see there's an image of how the sample questions would look like. Now, for us to do that survey, of course, we need a team, right? We need that team to have the experience and the training to be able to do these surveys out there. So basically, a training was conducted for 3 days in January 2021 on Jan 5th, 6th, and 7th. The trainer was BS staff Jeff. This was done in Suva, and 9 senior MOH staff were trained for this. There were 4 teams made to do these surveys. Why 4? Because there's 4 divisions in Fiji. When we look in Fiji, it is divided into 4 different divisions. The Eastern Division, Western Division, Central and Northern Division. These are the 4 divisions. So 4 different teams went out there to do these surveys. What was the time frame of these surveys? We were looking into January to March 2021. How many health facilities were we targeting that time? 227. And this is a picture of that particular training taking place. And during the training, the users on hand got to experience what it feels like. They were able to do the surveys by themselves. They were able to interact with each other and see how they would be doing these surveys with the users, because they needed to understand end-to-end in group discussions as well. After all this was done, now it's time to go out. The surveys were done, data is collected, everything is synced and displayed. When we talk about display, it was done on tupaia.org. Now, when we talk about Tupaia, it presents a thematic map of the health system for management, analysis, visualization. And Tupaia is a Meditrak data imported, into tupaia.org and displayed for all the different health facilities that we have surveyed. And this data is controlled, like I had mentioned. Not everyone can have access to all different types of data. Now, the digitized map of Fiji health facilities for the first time. This was done in 2021. Now, how do you think this would look like? There you go. So basically, before this image came up, can you see? I know it's a bit difficult to see this, but this is the most difficult to see, right? There is no colors here. So when we started, this was all gray. And as we kept mapping the health facilities, we were able to see the different colors come up. So the different colors represent the different type of health facilities we have in Fiji. All thanks to tupaia.org, we were able to get all this data displayed for Fiji. All different health facilities. And if you zoom into any one of those health facilities, you should be able to see the data that was collected through the surveys. Most importantly, the facility name, the type of services provided, what is the location of that particular facility. At the same time, we are able to collect images of the facility and put it up in the app as well. And then this is one of the examples of the information collected. So if you look into map overlays and you zoom into any of those overlays, you would be able to see, for example, in this particular one, I'm zooming into walking fridge. I can see after that survey was done in 2021, end of March, we were able to see that green is where all walking fridges are available. That's great data, right? For the first time. And then moving on, this is a snapshot of more information that was collected back then. So water availability, 5% of the health facilities had that particular issue. Moving on, in terms of functional washrooms, we had 18% who were having difficulties. At the same time, in terms of electricity, 9% of the health facilities were having difficulties. Now, what are we going to do about all these data? Now we know someone has washroom difficulties, it's not functional. Someone has water difficulties, what can we do about that? So we have to do something about this, right? Of course, that's where we decide that we are going to do something about this together. and 20 health facilities were chosen as per management's requirement of those facilities will be looked into. Now, in different divisions, a certain number of facilities were chosen depending on the management. Now, one was chosen in central, certain number in western, northern, and eastern, and depending on what their needs were to be looked into. So basically, they were identified in stage 2 of the project, which is this year, and accordingly, necessary changes have been made to these health facilities, and some of them are still in the process of these changes to be made. While these changes are being made, we have to, of course, plan for these changes. While we are planning, as you can see, this is our current staff, Sharon, who goes out to these health facilities, the 20 identified, meets with the health professionals and sees what all needs to be done. Because you just can't say like from a phone call that I'm planning all this, right? Physical meetups are important as well in discussions. So after all that in place, the assessments, evaluation, all was put together. And remember, these surveys were done in 2021. So of course, when we decided to plan for implementation, we had to re-look into the information because from 2021 to 2023, certain changes have taken place. And the reason this was sort of put on a hold, we all are aware COVID happened, right? So it took a bit of time before we could come back to this. Now, actually implementing it out there. In terms of implementation, the works are in process. A lot of health facilities have been provided with water tanks. Before they used to have the older water tanks, now they have the new water tanks. They are all in process at the same time. Some of the examples I can show you is Kia Nursing Station. As you can see, an older water tank is there. They're in process. And this is a Kia Nursing Station is part of North. It's on an island of its own. It's a very small island, Kia Nursing Station. And that's where you can see a new water tank has been in place. And there's more works going on in Kia as we speak. Same thing for Lomaibuna Nursing Station. Older tanks were there, and now the new water tanks have been placed. And remember, this is not the only thing happening. We're just not providing water services. There's more things going on behind. This is just to show you examples physically of what is going on. And what's the future plan? Basically, we'll go look into that mechanism again, survey the health facilities starting of 2024 again, and follow the whole structure again until we can provide better services to Fiji in all health facilities in terms of improvement. So thank you very much. And if you have more information, if you want more information about Tupaia, you can always go to our website.